All right, hello everybody. Today we're going to be doing lesson 54, which is rotation of 180 degrees. But before we dive into that lesson, I have a do now for you to do. You're going to see what was the rotation that took place. Here's the pre-image and here's the image. So remember, how many degrees did we go? 90 to 180 degrees, 270 degrees, and in which direction? Was it clockwise or counterclockwise? So I have one space for the clockwise direction and one space for the counterclockwise direction. So take a minute, pause this video, and complete this do now and come back to check your answers. All right, so let's take a look at question number 1. So remember, it's always good to use your tracing paper or a separate sheet of paper to draw your figure. So here I draw my figure, and I always like to go to the right first, so we check. One turn to the right, it's still not the same. 2 turns to the right, it's not the same. 3 turns to the right, it is. So 3 to the right, 3 turns to the right is 270 degrees. And to the right is clockwise. Then you could have just remembered that 270 degrees clockwise really means 90 degrees counterclockwise, because remember, those are opposite. If you didn't remember it, you could always start from the original and let's turn to the left. Well, we see one turn to the left, and we know one turn is 90 degrees, and to the left is counterclockwise. So you could have just remembered it, or you could have used that little trick that we learned. All right, so next we have our little arrow. And let's see, we go one turn to the right, it's not the same. 2 turns to the right, it is the same. So if I went 2 to the right, that means I'm going 180 degrees clockwise. And if we remember, we know 180 degrees, it doesn't matter which way, because 180 degrees clockwise is the same as 180 degrees counterclockwise. All right, then we had number 3. And let's turn. If we go 1 to the right, it matches up. So 1 turn to the right was 90 degrees, and to the right is clockwise. And 90 degrees clockwise is the same as 270 degrees counterclockwise. All right, then number 4 is our last do now question. So if we take a look here, let's turn to the right. If we go 1 turn to the right, it matches up. So 1 turn to the right, we know 1 turn is 90 degrees, and to the right is clockwise. So 90 degrees clockwise is the same as 270 degrees counterclockwise. So today we're going to be working specifically with those 180 degree rotations, and we're going to be doing these on a graph. So let's flip the page and let's take a look at our graph. So we're going to do a little bit of a discovery first. So if we look, we see point A is here. And point A, what are the coordinates of that? Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 5, 2. Then we have our image, A prime. What are my coordinates of A prime? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -1, -2. So it's -5, -2. So what do you notice about the coordinates of A and A prime? A is 5, 2. A prime is -5, -2. Well, you should notice here that they're the same exact coordinates. The only thing that's different is the signs change. For both x and y. And that's what our rule is going to be. When we rotate a figure about the origin, or R180, that's how you might see a rotation written, xy becomes negative x, negative y. So we negate x and we negate y. So that's going to be our rule for those 180-degree rotations. All right, let's try an example together. When I look here, I have example 1, and we're going to rotate this figure 180 degrees about the origin. So we're going to graph both the pre-image and the image. So first, let's graph our pre-image. A is at -3, -6. -1, 2, 3, -6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to plot that point A. B is at -3, -1, -1, 2, 3, -1. And then C is at -7, -6. -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to draw our figure. Triangle ABC. Now, one way to look at this is 180 degrees means 2 turns. And it doesn't matter in which direction, because remember, 180 degrees is the same clockwise as it is counterclockwise. So 2 turns is really telling me we're rotating 2 quadrants. So from here, let's go either clockwise or counterclockwise. And let's go clockwise, which is around this way. So we're going to go 1, 2 quadrants. So this is the quadrant that we should end up in after our 2 turns. Now, if you wanted also, you could draw a little sketch of your triangle, and we could turn it 1, 2 times to the right. And that's what it should look like when we graph our image. So now, remember the rule is we need to negate x and negate y. We're going to change the signs. So instead of -3, -6, this is going to become +3, +6. Instead of -3, -1, this is going to become +3, +1. Instead of -7, -6, this is going to be +7, +6. So let's graph and see if our figure looks exactly like that and if it's in the correct quadrant. 3, 6. So we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's going to be my A prime. 3, 1. So we go 1, 2, 3, 1 for my B prime. And then 7, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's my C prime. So it landed in the correct quadrant, and it's also facing in the correct direction. So it almost looks like it's almost like opposite of what you originally see here when we're doing 180-degree rotations. So let's do another example together below. First, let's graph our original figure. We have J, which is 4, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. -1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have K, which is 9, -10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. -10, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's K. And then L is 7, negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 1, negative 2. So there's J, K, L. So then let's use some of our strategies to just figure out where it's going to be. Remember, 2 quadrants, so let's count 2. So let's go 1 clockwise, 2 clockwise. So that's going to be the quadrant that we should end up in. Then let's see, let's draw our, or trace our image. So we have J, K, L. And let's turn it 2 times to the right. So if we go 1, 2. So this is what it should end up looking like after we do our rule. Now remember our rule is we're going to negate the X and negate the Y. So that means we're changing the sign of the X and we're changing the sign of the Y. So instead of positive 4, this becomes a negative 4. Instead of a negative 4, it becomes a positive 4. Instead of a positive 9, this becomes a negative 9. Instead of a negative 10, it becomes a positive 10. Instead of a positive 7, this becomes a negative 7. Instead of a negative 2, it becomes a positive 2. So now let's graph our image. So negative 4, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to label that J prime. Then we have negative 9, 10. So we're going to go negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's up 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's going to be my K prime. And we have negative 7, positive 2. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Positive 1, 2. And that's going to give me L prime. So then we connect. And it ended up exactly the same and in the correct quadrant. So we know that we did it correctly. All right, so we have another set of examples here for you to complete. So remember, you're going to follow the rules. You're going to negate the X and negate the Y. Negate the X and negate the Y for both of them. Also, use the trick to figure out which quadrant it will end up in. So you're going to complete examples 3, 4, then examples 5 and 6, and then we have a practice worksheet for you to complete. If you have any questions, please comment them on this video or email me with any questions you might have, all right?